Good morning, students. Now, in this class, we are going to talk about syntax analysis. Okay, as all of you know that we have totally various phases of compiler, like lexical analysis, syntax analysis, semantic analysis, like that. In previous class, we have studied about the lexical analysis in Unit 1. Now, in this Unit 2, we will start the syntax analysis. Just introduction part, or we can say a role of a syntax analysis, or another name is the role of a parser in a syntax analysis. Okay. See, if you see the representation of diagram, initially what will happen is a source program will be given as input to the lexical analyzer. It generates token and pass that corresponding token information to the next phase of compiler, that is syntax analysis. After that, syntax analysis sends a request to the lexical analysis for the next token using getToken method. At the same time, lexical analyzer and the syntax analyzer interact with symbol table, which stores the information about the tokens. The output of syntax analysis is a parse tree. This parse tree is given as input to the next phase of compilation, that is semantic analysis. Semantic analysis produce some output, that is correct parse tree. Now this output is given as input to the next phase. Here semantic analysis also interact with the symbol table. A lexical analyzer reads a source program character by character and produce token and a corresponding token information passed to the syntax analysis. Whereas whenever a token is generated, the lexical analyzer stores the token information in the symbol table. After that, the syntax analysis receive the token and it sends a request to the lexical analyzer for the next token. Whenever lexical analyzer receives that request, it will pass one more token to the syntax analysis. During this syntax analysis phase, the parser, or we can say syntax analyzer, interact with the symbol table in order to retrieve the information about a token, such names of token, its attribute value. The major task of parser is to check whether the token is following the grammar of language or not. See, for example, if you take C language, it has some grammar, that means some syntax. Okay, like that. If the tokens are not following the grammar of the language, then it generates error messages. The corresponding error messages are reports to the user. It is the duty of the user to correct the errors. If the tokens are following grammar of the language, then it generates a parse tree. Then the parse tree is given as input to the semantic analysis. Of course, in parser, there are two kinds of parsing methodologies are there. We are going to talk it later. First one is top-down parser and the second one is bottom-up parser. Whereas in this top-down parser, we are going to create the parse tree. That is, parse tree is created from top to bottom, starting from the root node. Whereas bottom-up parse tree is created from bottom to top. Okay, that is from leaves to top. Okay, then whereas coming to this role of this one, it will do the activities like now. It will verify the structure generated by the token based on the grammar. It will construct the parse tree. It reports the error. It performs the error recovery. Okay, these are the main topics. Just now we have discussed those points only. What are the various issues regarding this syntax analysis? Is parser cannot detect the errors such that variable redeclaration, at the same time variable initialization before use, data type mismatch for an operation. All these are the various issues are handled by semantic analysis phase. Okay. Next, we are going to talk about some syntax error handling. Okay. So generally in a compiler process, only correct programs, its design and implementation would be simplified greatly. Compiler is expected some assistance from programmer in locating and tracking down errors, and error handling is left to the compiler designer. Parsing methods like LL or LL method or LR methods are detect syntactic errors efficiency. Okay. At the same time, the common programming errors occurred at different levels of compiler or first one is lexical errors, including misplacing as identifier, keyword, and operators, as well as syntactic errors, including misplaced semicolons and extra braces or missing braces. Whereas semantic errors includes type mismatches between operators and operands. Logical errors can be anything from incorrect or reason. Okay. Next one is what is the function of error handler? Okay, the various functions of error handler is it should be report the presence of errors clearly and accurately. Whatever errors are there, it will report, and it should recover from each error quickly enough to able to detect subsequent errors, and also it should not significantly slow down the processing of correcting the programs. Okay, whenever there is error there, then automatically it will rectify those errors. Okay, then coming to there are some strategies are we're going to take in the concept of error recovery. We can say error recovery strategies. A simplest approach for parser is to quit from processing with informative error message when it detects first error. Okay. If number of errors is larger, it is better for compiler to quit after exceeding error limit. There are some error strategies we are going to talk about now. First one is a panic mode, fast level, error productions, and the global corrections. Whereas if you take panic mode recovery, in this method, on discussing errors, a parser discard input symbols one at a time until designated set of tokens is found. Panic mode correction skips a considerable amount of input without checking it for additional errors. At the same time, it is very simple, but it is guaranteed not to go into infinite loop. Okay, so this is the panic mode recovery. Whereas next coming to force level recovery, on discovering error, parser perform logical corrections on remaining input like replace a prefix of remaining input with string. Local corrections is to prepare common by semicolon, deleting some delete semicolon or insert missing semicolon. We must be careful to choose replacements that do not lead to infinite loops. Whereas the major drawback is very difficult to identify situation in which actual error has occurred before a point of detection. Okay. Whereas next coming to error production, in this one, by expecting common errors that might encounter, we construct a grammar for language at hand with production that generate error point. These error productions detect errors when parser using productions. It also provide appropriate error diagnostics for error those recognized in input. Whereas coming to last status is global correction. The global correction contains algorithms. Those are used for choosing minimal subsequent changes to obtain globally least cost correction. Whereas these provides some a small number of changes to convert incorrect string X to correct string Y. These modules are too costly to implement in terms of time and space. So these techniques are currently only in a theoretical manner. Okay. So these are the role of a parser, or we can say syntax analysis introduction part. Next, coming to the next topic, that is context-free grammar. Okay, so this is also one of the important concepts. See, what is meant by context-free grammar? Generally, context-free grammar can be is of a form of quadruple that consists of terminals, non-terminals, starting symbols, and productions. So quadruple means four arguments. Okay. So we are going to represent context-free grammar, that is CFZ, as G equal to VTPS. Okay, Z equal to VTPS. Here G is nothing but grammar. Here V is nothing but finite set of non-terminal symbols. T is nothing but finite set of terminal symbols. P is nothing but production rules. S is nothing but starting symbol. Okay. Here set of what V is now set of variables or non-terminals. Non-terminals is nothing but upper letters. Whereas T is nothing but terminal symbols. Terminals means lowercase letters or operators or left parenthesis or right parenthesis like this. Okay. P is means a set of productions. Okay. A production rule represent is of the form A implies alpha. Okay. A implies alpha. So S is a starting symbol. Okay. It is a non-terminal. Here A, whereas in this A implies alpha, where A is a non-terminal. Alpha means any occurrences of variable and terminals including zero or more zero occurrences are epsilon. Okay, so each production will consist of a non-terminal. Next, these are the point we are going to note if you take the concept of context-free grammar. Okay, that the points are: each production consists of a non-terminal called head or left side of the production. Okay. At the same time, the symbol arrow, sometimes we can call a two colons equal to, has been used in place of arrow. Okay. At the same time, a body or a right side consists of zero or more of terminals and non-terminals. Okay, these are the three points you should remember when you are writing the production. Okay, so the production consists of, first one is a non-terminal called head or left side of the production. Second one is symbol. Okay, the symbol is arrow. Next third one is a body or right side consists of zero or more number of terminals and non-terminals. Okay, so these are the points we should note, keep it in mind whenever we are writing the production rules. Okay, so whereas we said just now G equal to VTPS, in this one what are the terminals? Okay, these are the symbols from which strings are formed. We can call it as a terminals, whereas non-terminals are nothing but these are the syntactic variables that denote a set of strings. Okay, this helps to define a language generated by grammar. Whereas starting symbol, okay, it is a one non-terminal in the grammar is denoted as start symbol, and a set of strings it denoted is a language defined by the grammar. Whereas productions, okay, just now we said about the productions. So production is nothing but it specifies the manner in which the terminals and non-terminals can be combined to form a string. Okay, so next to one example for context-free grammar. Okay, the grammar for a simple arithmetic expression. Okay, generally, whereas if you take the arithmetic operations, okay, plus, minus, star, by like this. Okay, in this grammar, the terminal symbols are, in this example, we are going to take one grammar. The examples are ID. Okay, that is identifier, plus, minus, star, by, left parenthesis, right parenthesis. The non-terminal symbols are expressions, terms, and factors, and the expression is the starting symbol. Okay, the example is for context-free grammar is expression implies expression plus term. Next one is expression implies expression minus term. Expression implies term. Term implies term into factor. Term implies term by factor. Term employs a factor. Finally, factor employs expression. Finally, factor employs ID. Okay, this is the one example grammar for simple arithmetic expression. Okay, So whereas next, whenever we are going to work with this context-free grammar, we are going to note these some conventions that we can call it as a notational conventions. Okay. So in these notational conventions, what are the terminals? Okay, these are the symbols we are going to take as terminals. Okay, that is lower case letters early in the alphabet, such as A, B, C. So all these are the we can say terminals. Next one is operator symbols such as plus, minus, star. All these are the terminals. Next, punctuation symbols such as parenthesis, comma, and so on. All these are the terminal symbols. Next one, digits. Okay, 0, 1, 2, 3, like this up to 9. Okay, whatever it may be a digit, it is a terminal. So next one is boldface strings such as ID or if, each which represent a single terminal symbol. Okay, so all these are the symbols we are going to take as terminals. Okay, whereas next one is the what are the various non-terminals. Okay, so non-terminals are the uppercase letters early in the alphabet, that is capital A, capital B, capital C, capital D, like that. Next one is the letter S, which when it appears is usually the starting symbol. Okay, so the starting symbol of the context grammar is, we can say, S. It is a non-terminal. Okay, so next one, lower case italic names such as EXP, expression or statement, STMT. Okay, so if you are writing italic names lower case, then it is a non-terminal. Next one is, when discussing programming construct, upper letters may be used to represent non-terminals for construct. For example, non-terminal for expression term and factor, or we can say represented by E, T, and F. Okay, expression, term, factor, like this. Okay, so these are the some conventions which we are going to take as terminals, and then which we are going to take as non-terminals. So next one is next one more convention is uppercase letters in the alphabet such as X, Y, Z represent grammar symbols. That is either it may be a non-terminals or terminals. This is also one of the convention. So next one is lowercase letters late in the alphabet. Okay, like no, these are the also we can say terminals. Okay, then lowercase Greek letters. Okay, all these are the these are also grammar symbols. Okay, we can say lowercase Greek letters a, alpha, sorry, alpha, beta, gamma, string of grammar symbols. Okay, then the generic production can be is in the form of A implies alpha. Okay, where A is the head, alpha is the body. Okay, if the production is should be A implies alpha, then we can call A is head, alpha is body. Next one is next convention is a set of productions A implies alpha 1, A implies alpha 2, and A implies alpha 3, and so on. A implies alpha k with a common head A, call them A productions. Why? Because all are starts with A, may be written as A employs alpha 1 or alpha 2, alpha 3, and so on, alpha k. Okay, so here A implies alpha 1, alpha 2, like this. If the starting symbol is same, then we are going to write like no, A implies alpha 1, alpha 2, alpha 3, and so on, alpha k, like this. Call all these are the alternatives for A. Next one is, unless stated otherwise, the head of the first production is the starting symbol. Okay, so first production is the starting symbol only. We are going to take as starting symbol. All these are the various naming conventions we are going to consider in the concept of context-free grammar. Okay, so it is the one example for context-free grammar. Okay, so here E produces E plus T or E minus T or T. Here E means expression. Expression produces expression plus term or expression minus term or term. T produces T star F, term star factor, term by factor or factor. Factor F produces E, okay, expression or ID. The notational conventions tells us here E, T, F are the non-terminals with E as the starting symbol. Why? Because in this CFG, E is the starting symbol, remaining are the terminals. Okay. So next one is the derivations. Next, we are going to talk about derivations. See, what is a derivation? What are the different types of derivations? Okay. So generally, the process of derivation always starts from the start symbol only. A derivation is the process of applying a sequence of production rules in order to derive a string of the corresponding language. In order to derive a string, we have to apply a sequence of production rules. Okay. See, we have a string. In order to derive the string, we are going to apply some production rules that we can call it as a derivations. Okay. There are generally two types of derivations are there. First one is leftmost derivation, rightmost derivation. L, M, D, or M, D. See, what is meant by leftmost derivation? In leftmost derivation, in each step, the leftmost non-terminal will be expanded. We have to expand the leftmost non-terminal in each step in leftmost derivation, whereas rightmost derivation, the rightmost non-terminals will be expanded. Okay. The only difference is left and right is if it is left, we are going to expand the leftmost non-terminal. If it is right, means we are going to expand rightmost non-terminals. Okay, these are the two types of derivations. See, for example, examples are leftmost derivation and rightmost derivation. Here we have one grammar Z. E produces E plus T, or E star E, or E, or minus E, or ID. Okay, with the string minus ID plus ID. Okay. See here, what is the leftmost derivation? What is rightmost derivation? So here, leftmost derivation means we are going to expand the non-terminals from left side onwards. Okay. See, if we are going to obtain the leftmost derivation and rightmost derivation for the given string. Here string is minus id plus id. Okay, grammar is context free grammar is e produces e plus e, or e star e or minus e or id. Okay, so we are going to obtain the lmd and rmd for the given string. The string is minus id plus id. See here, first one is leftmost derivation. First, I am going to take one production, that is E produces minus C. Okay, here one production, the production is there now. E produces minus C. Okay, then what is E? Again, one more production is there now. E produces E plus C. Okay, here there is the production is also there. E produces E plus C. Okay, here E produces minus is same only, E plus C. Okay, then if it is leftmost derivation, so I am going to expand the leftmost non-terminal. Okay, so here E produces, instead of E I am going to write from the left side only. I am going to start from, in place of E I am going to write ID. Why? Because here there is one production rule, E produces ID. So in place of E I am going to write ID. Okay, within the bracket, before the bracket minus is there. Okay, I am not uh, touching the minus. Okay, minus is as usual, plus e. Then if it is leftmost means, so I am going to expand the first e. Then next, what about e? Again there is one more same production, that is e produces id. Okay, so for this e also I am going to use the production as id. Okay, so here within the bracket id plus id. Okay, here finally e produces minus id plus id. Okay, it is the leftmost derivation. Here the simple thing is I am going to expand the non-terminal from left to right one. Okay, the same thing is a rightmost derivation. Okay, the same grammar at the same input string. How we are going to get the rightmost derivation is, here e produces minus e. I am going to take minus e. Why? Because our string is minus of id plus id now, so I am for that one minus e. So what is e? There is one more production. E implies e plus c. Okay, So within the bracket, in place of E, I am going to write E plus C. Okay. If it is the rightmost derivation, I am going to expand the rightmost non-terminal. Instead of E in right side, I am going to write the ID. Why? Because there is one more production. E produces ID. So again here E produces minus within the bracket E plus ID. Then finally, next, what about next non-terminal from right side? Again E is there. So there is one rule is there. E produces ID. So in this place also I am going to write the ID. Okay, same here. E produces minus of ID plus ID. Okay, this is the one example for LMD and RMD. So next one is there is one more example for leftmost derivation and rightmost derivation. Here also the simple thing, the expression is like no, E produces E plus C, E star E, ID, only three. For this one here the string is ID plus ID star ID. See, if you observe means what is the string ID plus ID star ID? What is the production E produces E plus C or E star E or ID. Okay. So here first I am going to take in leftmost derivation. First I am going to take E produces E plus C. Okay. So again next we have a one production like no E implies ID na. So instead of E I am going to write the ID plus E. Okay. Then again I am going to write, I am going to expand the E as E plus E star E. Okay. Why? Because E produces E star E. Okay. Then again from left side onwards I am going to expanding. Instead of E I am going to write ID. Why? Because here E implies ID. Then again next instead of E I am going to write ID. Okay. Finally E implies ID plus ID star ID. Here LM is nothing but leftmost derivation. So here also the same thing, rightmost derivation. I'm going to expand the non-terminals from the right side. Okay, I'm going to take initially as E produces E plus E, whereas E produces E plus E star E. Why? Because E produces E star E. So for that one, I'm going to take E instead of E, E star E. Again, I'm going to replace E with ID. Okay, why? Because we have one production ID, then E plus E star ID. Then next non-terminal is E. Instead of E, I am going to write ID. Then E plus ID star ID. Then finally, I am going to expand next to non-terminal, that is E. E is nothing but ID. So E implies finally ID plus ID star ID. Okay, here RM means rightmost derivation. Okay, the thing is if it is leftmost means we are going to expand the non-terminal from left side. If it is rightmost means we are going to expand the non-terminal from the right side. Okay. Here in the examination point of view also we are going to derive the leftmost and the rightmost derivation for the given string. Okay. So this is the leftmost derivation and rightmost derivation. Okay. Thank you.